Hey you guys, it's Grace. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you all had a happy Halloween. I know I did. I went to a haunted house with my boyfriend and it was actually really scary. Usually I don't get very scared by those kinds of things, and usually when I go to a haunted house kind of thing, I usually don't get that scared, but for some reason this year just hit different. But now it's November, which is absolutely crazy. Yeah, I feel like this year is going by so fast but also so slow at the same time, but I am very excited that it's November because now I can officially start listening to some Christmas music, even though some people might argue that the correct time to start doing so would be after Thanksgiving, but I will agree to disagree. Yeah, so I woke up on November 1st and I started off the day by refreshing my Spotify Christmas playlist from last year and making sure that it's all up to date and ready to go. So yeah, I was really getting into some Christmas vibes. I also started writing up my Christmas list and my birthday list. My birthday is December 13th, so I kind of just combine it all into one thing, which I guess is nice, but having a birthday so close to Christmas is not as nice, so there's pros and there's cons. Yeah, so hopefully next week I will be getting a video to you guys about my Christmas wish list. So I always am obsessed with watching those videos about Christmas wish lists and getting ideas and advice from other people that are also kind of like fashiony, girly people. So that's what I hope to provide to you guys. And I'm also looking for a lot of stuff that has to do with like going to college, so I'm looking for a lot of like comfy cute clothes and like going out clothes. So that will be next week for you guys, but this week I wanted to take some time to talk about something a little bit more serious in the fashion industry. It's been kind of blowing up recently, which is why I want to talk about it. Even though I've had these views for a really long time, multiple years actually, I'm glad that social media is bringing more awareness to this issue. So basically, I do not shop at Goodwill, and there is a good reason for it. I'm not a fan of their morals and the way that they treat certain employees. I'll get into that tea in a minute. So basically, I'm just going to be telling you guys my views on Goodwill and informing you guys a little bit so that you can make your own opinion. Obviously, I'm not here to tell you what to do or anything. I'm just going to give you information that led me to make my decision to no longer shop at Goodwill. Not that I ever bought anything there. I never have. I know that thrift shopping is a big thing, and that's kind of why this issue is coming more to light now. But where I live, there's a ton of more local thrift stores that you are able to use that aren't such big chains and that don't make decisions that I disagree with. Before we get into it, make sure that you are subscribed to my channel and you have hit that notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video. Now, let's get into the video. So as I said, I do not shop at Goodwill. I've had this philosophy for a really long time. I don't agree with their morals. I don't agree with their choices when it comes to how they treat their employees, especially their employees with disabilities. I was kind of introduced to it by my mom, and she does not have a very high opinion of Goodwill. For those of you who do not know, I have a sister with Down syndrome, and the reason why I don't like Goodwill is they are one of the worst culprits of paying their disabled workers well below minimum wage. Obviously, it's an issue that's very personal to me. I have a sibling with a disability and I've done a lot of volunteer work with people with disabilities. So I'm very passionate about equal rights for people with disabilities and being treated fairly by employers and by everyone in general. Like, I'm very passionate about making sure that everyone has equal rights and equal opportunity, and the fact that a company would pay their disabled workers so low to the point where they could never be able to live off of that wage. That's completely impossible to live off of as low as they're making. The part that makes me most angry about the fact that Goodwill does this is the fact that they use children and adults with special needs in their advertising more than any other company I've ever seen in my entire life. No company in the entire country uses people with disabilities in their advertising, in their websites, in their pictures as much as Goodwill does. Goodwill has an insane amount of people with Down syndrome, people with like autism, all of the different types of disabilities, people in wheelchairs, people with crutches in their advertisements. And it makes me furious because they're profiting and they're benefiting off of the ideal that they're supporting families and people with disabilities and who have to deal with disabilities, but then they're also paying their disabled workers such a low rate. I had a friend and she had special needs and she worked at Goodwill. She was working like 10 to 12 hours a week, depending on the week. And she was talking to me about her job and she said like, oh, it's fine. I'm just not making that much money. And she had been working there about 6 months and she wasn't happy with the money that she was making. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And she was like, yeah, I've only made about $87 over the course of six months. 6 months of working 10 to 12 hour weeks. She had only made $87. And I did some calculations. I'm taking to account that, you know, like she probably had like weeks where she didn't work and weeks she asked time off. That's about $1.50 an hour. $1.50 an hour. That's just crazy to me. That's absolutely ridiculous to me personally. So yeah, that is almost $6 below minimum wage hourly. And as states have increased their minimum wage and made more effort to enforce that people with disabilities should be making minimum wage, Goodwill has been letting go of their employees with disabilities. That's pretty bad. That's really bad, especially for a company that is based on the ideal that you're helping people that deal with these kinds of problems by providing them with a less expensive form of purchasing clothing and other needs. So my friend, again, she was making like $1.50 an hour from working at Goodwill. But I've heard stories online of people making much less, like as low as 40 cents an hour, which is just, it's like despicable to me, and it makes me like fumingly angry, and I can't even like express to you. Like, I don't know, you think of Goodwill as, well, first of all, their name is Goodwill, which is just a straight up lie at this point. And like, I don't know, like you maybe expected of a company that doesn't really like benefit off of like people with special needs, like, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't really do work with people with special needs. Like obviously it's despicable who's ever doing it, but the fact that it's coming from a company that emphasizes the point that they help people with special needs so often, that's the part that makes it really upsetting to me. And they're using people with disabilities all over their advertisements and their website, and like it's kind of ridiculous. I'm really glad that this issue is kind of coming to light because it's really gross. Like it's really, really gross. A lot of legal action has been taken against Goodwill, as well as publicized works against them. There's a woman named Sheila Leyland who was blind and she was making $3.50 an hour working at Goodwill. And then she had to quit the job because they lowered her pay to $2.75. So yeah, I am glad that this issue is coming more to light on social media. I've seen a lot of it on Twitter and Instagram. So I'm glad that more people are coming forward with their stories and their own personal experiences with this issue. So yeah, you can do with that information what you will. Obviously, I don't support Goodwill. I know thrift shopping is like the brand new trend, and people are making more of an effort to buy secondhand clothes in order to improve the environment and help with the emissions that fast fashion causes. But if you can help it, I would recommend that you please do your thrift shopping elsewhere. There are plenty of local thrift stores in my area. I hope that there would be local thrift stores in your area as well. There are online sources such as Poshmark and Depop and ThredUp that you can do some online sort of thrift shopping and get clothes at discounted prices, as well as secondhand clothes. And obviously, I completely understand that people have their own economic issues and their own situations, and maybe Goodwill is the only thrift store around you and the only place you can afford that's near you. Obviously, I'm not bashing anyone for buying from Goodwill, whether they knew or not, or whether it was their only opportunity to purchase clothes or not. This is obviously a choice that you have to make for yourself, and I am all for the freedom to choose. However, I wanted people to be as aware of the situation as possible. I know that in the fashion world, in the fashion side of social media, it's been pretty publicized, but it might not be as publicized to the general public, so I guess that's what I'm doing. I hope my 6 subscribers enjoy it. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot to me that you took the time to watch this video and click on this video to learn a little bit more about this issue and learn about my personal experience and connection to the issue as well. I understand if your situation makes you unable to stop supporting Goodwill, but if you can help, I would ask that you please stop supporting this company. They use people with disabilities as a marketing tactic, but then refuse to pay their employees with disabilities an even close to livable wage. They treat their employees with disabilities as expendable and pay them as low as possible, and they're always the first people to go whenever they have to make cuts. So yeah, I hope I was able to inform you a little bit about this kind of scandal that's been going around. If you weren't so certain about any facts or anything like that, I just have some personal data that my friend has given to me, as well as the publicized data from people speaking out about this issue. But next week I'm gonna do a birthday and Christmas wish list. It would probably be best for most of you as a Christmas wish list, because I don't know how many of you have birthdays coming up, but if you do, bonus Jonas. So yeah, I'm excited to share that with you guys. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye!